Number 3. A jet travels 590 miles in 5 hours. At this rate, how far could a jet fly in 15 hours? When I'm looking at this problem, I realize that I can solve this using a proportion. And there's 2 clues that I use. First of all, I realize that there are 3 numbers in this problem. And when there's 3 numbers, that's a clue that, maybe this is a proportion problem. The second clue that I use is the fact that I have 2 pairs. And what I mean by a pair is hours goes with hours, and then I would pair the 590 miles with the question. The question asks us how far. So when we answer, we're going to be finding a distance. So distance with distance, hours with hours. You could also say that they give us a rate, 590 miles in 5 hours, and then they ask, okay, basically at this rate, what distance could you travel on 15 hours? So that could also clue you in that, you know what, I can go ahead and set up one rate, 590 over 5 hours, and then set it equal to a fraction that contains the 15 hours. Remember, a proportion is when you have 2 equal fractions. And we're maintaining the same rate. So they're telling us that this rate will be the same as this rate. And that's what a proportion is, really. When you have a rate equal to a rate, a fraction equal to a fraction, a ratio equal to a ratio. Now the 15 hours I have to put in the denominator just like the 5 hours is in the denominator. You want the rate to be the same, so you need 4 miles to be in the numerator just like it is in this rate. You need hours to be in the denominator just like it is in this rate. And we don't know the number of miles, we're being asked how far. We use a variable for that part. Now normally if I would solve this, I would notice that you can solve a proportion using scaling, and that's the easiest way I think to solve a proportion, and I would do it this way. I noticed that 5 times 3 gets me to 15, so I could just multiply 590 by 3 to get to x. So let me multiply by 3 really quick, and we'll see what our answer is. 0 times 3 is 0. 9 times 3 is 27, so I carry the 2. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 2 is 17. So we get 1,770, and I look back at x, and the units are miles, so don't forget your units. I'm going to be grading for units as well, so make sure you include the proper units. Now let's just think about the if situation. At this rate, how far could a jet fly in 15 hours? Well, this is a distance, so that seems to make sense. So 1,770 miles in 15 hours. Alright, so the next thing I need to talk about is the fact that the problem you're going to be given, you're not going to be able to just use scaling. It's not going to be that simple. So I'm going to also show you how you can use cross multiplication to solve this. I'm just going to clean this up a little bit first. To use cross multiplication, you want to start by recording your parentheses, your equal sign, your parentheses, and then let's multiply across. For this, 590 times 15. And then we're going to multiply across this way, 5 times x. We get 5x is equal to, and then I multiply 590 times 15. I'm using a calculator because we really already did this problem one way. We're just doing it a second way. And then to solve this in the end, you divide each side by the coefficient. So 8,850 divided by 5, we get the same answer, 1,770. And that was miles. Part B. So this is the second question. what is the rate of speed of the jet? Really, they're asking us for the unit rate. And to find the unit rate, all you have to do is divide. So we can take the 590 and just go ahead and divide it by 5. 5 goes into 5 one time. You can't ask the question again until you bring a number down. 5 goes into 9 one time. 9 minus 5 is 4. Bring the 0 down. 5 goes into 40 8 times. 8 times 5 is 40, and 40 minus 40 will be 0, and there will be nothing else to bring down. So the answer is 118. And for the units, what I would do is I would look at the units up here. It was miles and then hours. Or, and you could even look at how I wrote it up here. It said 590 miles per 5 hours. So this would be 118 miles per hour would be the units. With a unit rate, it's always going to be, for the units, something per something. There's always going to be like a miles and an hours. All right, and then finally, the only other thing that I can tell you is that if you want to check your work, you could go back up here. Well, let me clean this up a bit. All right, so I wrote this again so you can see it more clearly, but we just took 590 and divided it by 5, and we got this 118. And then if you want to check your work for this first problem, we said that x was 1,770. Well, if this fraction is equal to this fraction, if you take 1,770, it should also equal 118. So I'm going to type that into a calculator, 1,770 divided by 15, and I also get 118. So it's just a way that you can check your work for part A. Hopefully this helps you to solve the problem that you're going to solve.